Good morning, Yankees universe. KOD Nation, stand up. And you degenerates, wake up and get your coffee. Welcome to this Tuesday, a special edition of the Yankees Morning Brew. But it is Tuesday, August 30th, 11 o'clock in the morning. I see we already got people in the chat. I just would like to say salute, salute, salute. Thank you for stopping by. Hope all is well with everyone. If you are out there in the world living your life, get yourself a cup of brew and start your morning off properly. But let me touch on to the chat. I see we got Mikey Mazza and the 4 Train Express. Good morning, Mikey Mazza. Hope all is well. And of course, Miss Molly, the general. Salute, Miss Molly. Hope all is well. And the one and only Uncle Foxy, the Sly Fox himself. It's been a minute since I've seen Uncle Foxy. Hope all is well with my guy. Yankees Morning Brew #1. Yes, indeed. We will be having our special guest, Jerry Ferrara, join us momentarily. I just needed this time to rant, right? Because we go to the West Coast after sweeping a 2-game series with the Mets. Everything is good and gravy. We take the first 2 in Oakland. We are riding a high horse. The Yankee fans are screaming, the Yankees are back, baby. And then we lay 2 goose eggs in Oakland. And even though Judge hit his 50th home run of the year, that wasn't enough for us. It wasn't enough. The winning streak was broken. We are on a 3-game losing streak at the moment right now. But yet, it just wasn't enough. And we Yankee fans, we need to start questioning the front office, right? This more goes to Brian Cashman instead of Yankee fans. But Brian Cashman, we're trying to evaluate this Frankie Montas deal. You know, credit to Frankie Montas, though. He did pitch 7 innings yesterday. Credit to him for even pitching 7 innings, but he gave up 4 runs, and he gave up 3 home runs on top of it. A 2-run bomb to Shohei Ohtani. Now I got to listen to Jose Ruckus just let me know that Ohtani hit a home run against the Yankees. Then he gave one up to Mike Ford, former Yankee, who if you didn't know that yesterday he had his first home run of the season, right? The way he was walking around the bases, you would have thought he would have got number 50 himself. The way he bat flipped and walked around the bases, you know? And then Rufino, who's been a thorn in the Yankees' butt every time the Yankees play the Angels so far this year, it just wasn't enough. And Frankie Montas, he's starting to not look like the Frankie Montas that was advertised in Oakland. That's why I said before the trade deal, I don't trust pitchers coming from Oakland. Because now his splits on the road, I'm not sure if how can Brian Cashman and his team not have his numbers? Because when he's pitching in Oakland, he's pitching to an ERA that's under 3, right? Pitching on the road, his ERA is over 4. So I'm not sure how myself, just, some YouTuber talking Yankees can have that information, but Brian Cashman doesn't have that information, or nobody in his team have that information. It's a bit confusing. But Frankie Montas, he's not looking like the Frankie Montas that was advertised. Frankie Montas, dare I say this, is looking like Michael Pineda out there. And it's hurting us real bad. Yankee fans, let me know in the chat what you think. Am I off base for calling Frankie Montas Michael Pineda? Am I off base for saying that? Because his stuff just doesn't look good. He has a 98-mile-per-hour fastball, which is awesome. He has a splitter, which is filthy. His slider just looks like a meatball when he throws it up there. It's just hanging. It's literally just hanging. That's how Mike Ford got that home run. Rukino, he hit it on a fastball that was literally down the middle, down the plate that Montas left. So it's very concerning. Like my guy Mikey Mazza said, it's very concerning. It's more like Sonny Gray. Yeah. Mazza, you've been on the panel with me a couple times. When we got Frankie Montas, I was excited, right? Because I saw the potential. We all saw the potential of Frankie Montas. We all know what he can be. But so far with the Yankees, he's just fall flat on his face. Like I said, he's looking like Michael Pineda. Like Mazza said, he's looking more like Sonny Gray. Shout out to the Pinstripe Chronicles. Salute. Thank you for tuning in. Hope all is well. And he says, not at all. Montas has his stuff, but hasn't delivered. Yeah. We all know the potential of what Frankie Montas could be. We've seen it, right? We've seen how Frankie Montas, especially in Oakland, was dominating. He finished fourth or third, if I'm not mistaken, in the Cy Young voting last year. So it's a bit concerning what we're seeing out of Frankie Montas, right? Hopefully, it's just jitters. I understand you move from a new team, from your old team, the AL West to the AL East. You have to get used to the time difference. I get it. I get it. But Frankie Montas, this September, we need you to turn it around. You had a great outing against the Mets. It should have been better. You should have won 6 or 7 innings instead of just 5 and a third. But you had defense that was lackadaisical behind you. But Frankie, I'm holding out faith for you. When we traded for you, I had that big video. We were celebrating. Everything was all good. But Frankie, please, whatever you have to do to muster up a win in your next few starts, you're going to have to figure it out. Because Yankee fans would turn on you real fast, as you saw how I was at in the beginning. But, yeah. Now we got our guest backstage, and I can't wait to bring him on. But before I bring him on, just want to, play the intro one more time, and let's have this conversation. Good morning, Jerry. Sorry to cut that off short, but Jerry, good morning. Welcome to the Yankees Morning Brew. Hope you got your coffee with you right there, my guy. What's good? Oh, you're muted right now, Jerry. My apologies.
I was saying we look good in that animation and our suits. Of course, I got my coffee ready to go. Happy to talk to you.
Nice. Appreciate you for stopping by, my guy. Appreciate you. And I see you got the Yankees skateboard in the back. The deck is in the back, ready to go.
I got the Yankee skateboard. You see the chair right there? That's from the original Yankee Stadium, which I won on like a charity auction. So I put some office, wheels on there. And I always have that displayed. Yeah, man, that's a Supreme Yankee skateboard deck right there. Oh, man. But my blood pressure's up. My blood pressure's up.
Yeah, and let's lead right into it. Formalities out the way. This is the first time we've had a conversation about the Yankees this season. So I don't want to assume what's your thoughts. I don't want to assume what your feelings are about the Yankees so far this season. So I'll just let you go speak to the people. What's your thoughts so far in this season?
So, look, obviously, I mean, the smile on my face going back to June, July, it just, I didn't allow myself to fully play with the theory of like, this could be not record breaking, but one of the elite all-time regular season teams, right? But in the back of my mind, I don't want to say fool's gold because I do think those wins all count. And thank God we have this cushion that we have, but too many walk-offs. We love timely hitting. I think that's what's plagued us in the past, especially in the playoffs. We just haven't, runners aren't second and third, 2 out. We haven't been able to get that clutch single. We've been getting that for most of the year. That has since sort of run out. And now it's time. These are playoff games. Like we could talk playoffs and hopefully we win the division because it's getting a little too tight now. These are playoff games. 6 of the next 12 versus Tampa. The playoffs have begun. So, you got to take care of business against the Twins. Shouldn't have lost 2 to the A's like we did. But yeah, 6 games coming up against Tampa. That's going to be those are playoff games, bottom line.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with you. Going back to the early parts of the season, Yankee fans, we were riding that high horse. We was riding that wave. The Yankees, they looked like a well-oiled machine shooting on all cylinders. But one thing that we had back then that we don't have right now, and I understand everybody deals with it, but we were healthy. For the first 2.5 months of the season, the Yankees were the only team that weren't plagued by injuries. But then you look at our injuries, you look at the IL, we got Severino, Chad Green is out for the season. You got Clay Holmes, who just came back. We lost Michael King, who had the best WAR when it comes to relievers and starting pitchers, just pitchers in general. We lost him for the rest of the year. So the Yankees have taken some hits, and Clay Holmes came back last night. And not going to say he looked like the old Clay Holmes, but it was refreshing to see Clay Holmes out there and his sinker ball moving like a wiffle ball. Because at the beginning of the year when he was so dominant, it was looking like he was throwing a wiffle ball up there. But then as the dog days of the summer came, it got flat and he turned into a BP coach. So
Yeah,
what's your thoughts? My apologies. What's your thoughts about the injuries and the thoughts what I just said about Holmes in the bullpen?
so it really is a double-edged sword, right? Because we were healthy early in the season. I do think we peaked way too soon, which does happen. But now's the time you want to start getting everything right for the playoffs and peak now. But what I will say is, even though we peaked, it wasn't even a peak. It was it was top of the mountain stuff. We were able to build a hopefully insurmountable lead. And like I said, thank God, because it's all starting to get a little tight. Yeah, with Holmes, the bottom line is that sinker ball, like that's your double play guy, right? When that sinker's dancing, that's
Yeah.
the guy that you could count on to get a double play, to get you out of trouble, all that. But when it's flat, yeah, those ground balls that are, double plays, those are line drives in the left center. So, hopefully that sinker ball stays moving. And I do think because, obviously end of July into August, rough month for us. So if we're going to kind of bottom out to rebuild it, to hopefully peak again at the right time, the timing is lining up. The health is always the key, right? Like you said, there's some guys we won't get back, but if we could just get close to healthy, I do think we're going to be okay. But the playoffs are so scary, man. You're going to see these aces on 2-3 days rest. Like it's just like, I don't think we could count on these timely hits like we have. And look, people are going to just pitch around Judd. I mean, they're already trying to now. It's not working, but in the playoffs, he might not see anything.
He was intentional. He was intentional to walk twice yesterday. There was a game. It was a week ago where he was basically walked intentionally with the bases loaded.
You're not going to see anything. Like you look at these averages, and I know like hitting for average in a way, and I know more people look at on base, and it's a little bit more of a softball game these days. You got big home runs or kind of like look at these batting averages. It's awful.
Yeah.
Awful. There's literally no one above 300 really when you look at it that's had like the right amount of at bats to make it count. Judge just dropped down to 294, and that's what I mean. Like I just don't know if that's enough table setting to really make it count in the playoffs. I'm worried. I really am worried, but I do think we're bottoming out a little bit. We have to now. We got to take this one against the Angels tonight. And then we got to just look at these Tampa. Like we have been resilient, even though it looks like we haven't been. And Boone slamming the table. They have been resilient in their own way. The next 12 games will be a really, really big test of what we could see in the playoffs.
Yeah, man. And great point bringing up Boone, because we'll segue right into the next question I wanted to ask. And I understand, when your team is struggling and your team is losing, it's very easy for us as fans to take Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman and put them on the dartboard, right? And automatically want them fired, want them replaced. But Yankee fans got to understand that since 1992, we've had a winning record. Every season we've had a winning record. We probably missed the playoffs 6-7 times since 92, right? If you were any other fan base, right? Cincinnati, the Pittsburgh Pirates, however you want to say it, you would take these I know as a Knicks fan, I would take these past 30 years.
I was about to say, we could just look right across. We could just look right from the Bronx to Midtown to kind of see.
But what's your overall feeling when it comes to Boone and Cashman? Cashman just got that extension. What's your thoughts, though, when it comes to them?
It's so tough because you said it, right? And there's very few franchises in sports where, if you don't win a championship, it's kind of a failure. Although with the Yankees in the last 5 or so years, it really has been like, let's get back in the playoffs and win some series. Like, let's just win a series, and we're starting to get back to that now. But yeah, it's tough because I like Boone. Has he been the perfect manager? No, not by. Is he Joe Torre? No. But I do think like he wants it. He wants to win. He's trying. He's not like phoning it in. Cashman, I mean, yeah, how do you argue that record of win? Now, granted, you have the budget to always put good players on the field, so it's really hard to blame them. That's why with Boone, though, you can just look at. It's a little different with GM versus manager. You can just look at, are the guys responding to whatever he's trying to say? And I do think that's why I always talk about that slapping the table thing. It did garner a little bit of a response. They did bounce, get up from off the mat with that. So yeah, that's really going to be the key. This is why I really do think this is obviously the kind of make or break for him. I think Cashman is fine. I mean, you know, it's such a different. You talked about 1992 on, right? And we all, I'm sure you've talked about the Jeter doc. You
Yeah.
know, the Yankee porn. You know, it's just different times, but he was the guy there too. So I do think he knows what it takes to get a championship roster. I do think we're all kind of looking at Boone though. Like, are these guys going to respond to you? Because a response is needed right now.
Yeah. No, and great point bringing up the Jeter doc and Yankee porn, because it was phenomenal.
It's
But
awesome.
even in the Jeter documentary, you saw that Brian Cashman, he's not somebody that goes about his job trying to be liked. He
No.
goes about his job trying to put the best product on the field. Like, he told Derek Jeter, like, you don't have it anymore. If you figure you could get a contract, go find your it takes a lot of, cojones to say that to a all-time legend like Derek Jeter.
Yeah, you know, I was just up in Detroit yesterday. I was playing in a charity golf tournament, and one of the
Nice.
people that Jeff Nelson was there, right? First of all,
Oh,
Jeff
awesome.
Nelson is gigantic. I mean, the fact that that dude ran out of the bullpen when we were fighting with the Red Sox looking to square, he's like 6'8". Jeff Nelson's huge, dude. I was like, oh my God, you're a sidearm relief pitcher. You could have played quarterback. And we talked about the Yankee doc for a little bit. And even like that Jeter stuff did come up, and he's like, yeah, just like, you know, it really is business with them. You can't kind of pay players for what they have done. You got to pay players for what you think they could do. But, you know, that was a mistake, in my opinion, of underestimating what Jeter still could
Oh, yeah.
do. That was
Yeah.
a little bit, but look, it worked. He changed his training regimen, you know, really was the defense that they were talking about. So I mean, it worked, got another World Series out of it.
Yeah, and then in 2012 he led the league in hits before
Oh my
breaking his
God.
ankle. Like,
It's weird how you forget some stuff, right? Because we love the Yankees so much. Even going back to like that Braves series, you know, I 2-0 when Leyritz hit the home run, I couldn't quite. I thought it was I knew it was in Atlanta. I thought he threw him a fastball, it was a slider, like little things.
Yeah.
Go through in your mind because it's so long ago. But yes, Jeter led the league in hits. It's insane.
Yeah, and it's when the dynasty was happening in the 90s, I wasn't old enough to fully enjoy it, right? I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. I was watching Power Rangers instead of watching the Yankees at the time, right? That was my cup of tea at the time. But watching this documentary, the Jeter doc, it made me appreciate those teams, especially how they was put together. You know, you talk about Posada. Everybody wants to forget Bernie, but Bernie is a member of the core five to me, hands down. You know, everybody argues that Kurt Schilling should be in the Hall of Fame. If you look at Bernie Williams' numbers, Bernie should be in the Hall of Fame just from his postseason alone. Everybody argues Kurt Schilling's postseason, but if you look at Bernie's postseason, he has 20 plus home runs, he's batting 300, and he has 97 RBIs. That's basically somebody's regular season right there. But those teams, the way they were constructed, do you ever think you'll ever see a Yankee team put together like that ever again when it comes to the perfect combination of homegrown youth and veterans?
I really don't. I can't ever say never, but I don't know if you're ever going to see, let's say we got Bernie, Posada, Pettit, Jeter, Mariano. Like, I don't think you're ever going to see that amount of Hall of Famers and championship players come up within 3 years of each other. Bernie was kind of first, Mo was second, Jeter, you know, I don't think we'll ever see like them all coming up kind of around the same age. And then, yeah, like what they did with the veterans was really like Tino Martinez. That's why even watching that Mariner series. So I'm older than you. I was, you know, 15 years old, 14 years old with that Mariner series, and Edgar Martinez and Tino Martinez fucking killed us, bro. I was like, please go sign one of these guys. They had everyone's number. They hit Mo, they hit Wetland, they hit anyone you threw at them. Paul O'Neill, I loved with the Reds. They won the World Series in 1990. I always loved that dude. He was breaking the Gatorade coolers back in Cincinnati. So when he came to New York, you know, we needed that kind of temper. But yeah, I don't think we'll see it.
Did you ever
really was
think
the perfect storm?
Did you ever think the Warrior Paul O'Neill would turn into the player that he did in New York? Because when you look at his numbers in Cincinnati, they were okay. He was a 260 hitter with Cincinnati, but with the Yankees, he was a 300 plus hitter.
I think it's all there. Different game, obviously, with the pitchers hitting and stuff like that. There's more. It's a lot easier to pitch around guys back then.
Mhm.
And then obviously you come to Yankee Stadium. He's a lefty. You got the short port. It just was tailor. It could. I think it was the perfect team for Paul O'Neill and for Tino Martinez, and those were the exact vets. And even like the Jeff Nelson's another one. Jeter even says in the doc, man, I hated those sidearm. Like that Seattle team. Like, don't kid yourself though. If that Seattle team stays together
Mhm.
fully, and A-Rod never it really could have been the Mariners in I won't say the exact situation as the 90s Yankees, but look at that. Go back to that like 94,
Mhm.
95 Mariners roster. Scary, scary,
Just
scary.
just just think about the potential of if A-Rod doesn't leave Seattle and they get Ichiro that next year. Just imagine the combination of Ichiro and A-Rod, what they would have been.
Insane. Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been scary. But yeah, to your question, I mean, like I can't ever say never, but it just seems like in today's day too, young guys aren't even getting that kind of time to develop before they either get called up too soon or get traded for the big shiny
Mhm.
object, right? So
Yeah.
I don't even know if the young guys would get the chance that those guys got back then to fully develop into the players they became.
Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. What was the feel though when the Yankees did acquire Tino Martinez, Don Mattingly was retiring? What was the vibe in the city at the time? Like how can you explain to me as a fan what was that like emotionally going through that?
Sad to start because and my mom is the reason. I grew up with a single mom. My mom's been a Yankee
Mm.
fan since she was like 10 years old. She is the reason why I love sports and the Yankees. And I would say Mattingly's probably her favorite all time. Yeah, I mean, she watched Mantle when she was a kid and stuff. But so I love Don Mattingly's my favorite baseball player of all time, my favorite Yankee.
Yeah.
So it was heartbreaking because you didn't want to see him go, but then once you kind of got past that and you saw what Tino did in the regular season, it's like,
Hmm.
okay, wow, that like we love Mattingly. He definitely had a million injuries. This is great. But then the sadness kicked right back in when we did win the World Series. Obviously, we're overjoyed, but then like if he just stuck around one more year, maybe DH'd a little bit, some spot. I don't know. I don't know if a guy like Mattingly would have accepted that kind of role. But I
Well,
really do feel that one of the biggest disappointments, saddest things that ever happened to the Yankees was that Donnie Baseball didn't get that
mm,
ring in
yeah.
'96.
Yeah, that's one thing. Even as a kid, watching Yankeeographies, setting my DVR to record Yankeeographies in the 2000s was a big part of why I really fell in love with the history of the Yankees, right?
Yeah,
And you bring up Don Mattingly, and I honestly believe that he's the type of player that would have switched positions to a DH or a part-time first baseman. Because if the rumors are true, he talked about moving to left field if Keith Hernandez would have became a Yankee, right? If the rumors are true, so Don Mattingly, he's the typical player that you want to be the captain. If you could carbon copy Don Mattingly's DNA and have Jeter and Don Mattingly form one player, that's a player that a franchise was signed for 10, 15 years in a heartbeat, like
you
real
got you
fast.
got to remember too. So we're talking about the glory days of the '90s. So
Mm,
you said you were like 7, 8 years old. When I was 7, 8 years old, now we're going mid '80s. Obviously, the Mets just coming off the World Series in '86, and they were loaded.
mm,
All the Yankees had was Don Mattingly. That's
yeah.
it. Winfield too. Like Winfield came in and Winfield was good. I don't want to take anything away from Dave
Mm,
Winfield. Loved him as a player. That was it on that roster. And it was, you talked about losing seasons. There was a lot of losing seasons they're just like I grew up as a kid, the Yankees were bad
yeah.
until 94, 95. They were not good. All my Met fan friends in Brooklyn used to clown me because the Mets were the superior team in New York throughout the 80s and into like 90. But then it finally turned. So yeah, like I mean, I can go down those rosters. I mean, names that you may know because you're a diehard, but and this is no disrespect, but yeah, like Matt Noakes, Steve
Hmm.
Balboni, Butch Weiniger,
Oh God.
Roberto Kelly, who was part of the Paul O'Neill trade. I actually liked Roberto Kelly a lot. He was a good player. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
those mid late 80s Yankees were
Roberto Kelly was my uncle's favorite player. But
he's
you
good.
bring up your moms, right? And a big reason why I'm a Yankee fan is because of my mother as well. Moms, they hold a special place in our hearts. My mom grew up, she's a diehard Met fan, right? But when I
Ooh,
say that she pushed me to be a Yankee fan, it's because she wanted that dynamic in the house, right? So
yeah,
it was like, no, this is my team. You can have them. So she wanted that in the
I
house.
love that.
And yeah, and I have to credit all my baseball knowledge and just watching the game to my mom's, right? If it wasn't for my mother pushing me, taking me to the park in Far Rockaway, teaching me how to catch a ball, how to hit a ball, if it wasn't for that, my mom's, I don't think I would have been a big Yankee fan as I am today.
Same. My mom used to come play wiffle ball on the front porch with me. She had a nasty little curve. I always say though too, like I was a decent baseball player, definitely
Mhm.
better defensively. I was fast, was not a power hitter, but like, you know, throwing, I never had a good arm. So my mom never really kind of taught me the proper way to like snap it. I never had like a strong arm. I always blamed her for that. But yeah, I mean, same thing, man. I do like what your mom did, and I could see myself doing that with the kids because we have a whole, and we've discussed it even on the Knicks pods in the past. Like,
Mhm, mhm,
I
mhm.
have this whole New York. Now we're in Cleveland where my wife's family's from. So there's this like Browns, Giants,
It's a little rival.
yeah. So like Knicks and Yankees, like there's no choice. I'm willing to give up they want to root for the Browns. I would like that dynamic of rooting against them a little bit if the Giants and Browns ever play. So I
Yeah.
like what your mom's did there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because I grew up playing baseball and basketball that I'm more aligned with that than the NFL. Like, the
Yeah.
same reason. If I was to move to say like San Diego, I mean San Diego, they're not there anymore. But if I was to move to Miami, I think I would be able to be a Dolphins fan just because I love that color and just
Yep.
because Jigga Man's a Jet fan, and I just like to. I just
Oh, that's a whole other. Yeah. Does he have the Jets? Is he starting the Jets show this year? Jake, you listening? You going to have the Jets show this year? Because I'm coming on to that, and it's going to be brutal for you.
But a big part of the documentary that I wanted to touch on, and this was a conversation that was going on Yankees Twitter, but the A-Rod part of the documentary. As a Yankee fan, how do you feel about the possibility of A-Rod getting his jersey retired with the Yankees? What's your thoughts on it? Is that something that you would push for and want, or is that something that
Look, I always, because we did just touch on all the homegrown talent
Mm,
and all the other players that we sort of brought over in the 90s. I'm not like they were great players, but Alex Rodriguez was a super, super, superstar, right? There's no disrespect to Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez, Scott Brocious. Like those guys were great in their own right, perfect fit for the team. So I I wasn't excited about the getting A-Rod, I was excited to keep him away from Boston because I didn't want
mhm,
Boston to get him. But I enjoy like playing against the greatest. I mean, I'm not playing, I like rooting for my
mhm.
team against the
No, I
greatest
get it.
players.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
was always a little weirded out by the A-Rod thing, but he did win a World Series. His numbers were pretty damn amazing when you go back. I know he had early playoff troubles, and there's
Mhm,
such a microscope on him. I guess I wouldn't hate. I wouldn't be like upset if
mhm.
he got it. I'm really like right down the middle. I could see his number getting retired. I could see it, and I would be like, good for him. He was a good Yankee. But if the decision was never, if it never happened, I could see the path why it wouldn't happen either.
Yeah.
I'm so split because I like A-Rod, and he
Mhm.
he came here on a mission. He wanted to win a ring. I feel like we had him on an episode of Entourage back in the day. It was Teixeira and A-Rod. The whole storyline was I'm calling Teixeira to get him to invest in the tequila company, and then I'm
Yes.
calling A-Rod or whatever. So I had seen those guys. Now this all came about because I saw them somewhere, and I think I like asked like Teixeira and A-Rod. I was like, you guys got to come on the show, come on Entourage, and I think they both were like, we're not doing any of that till we win a championship. Then they won the championship. And then I went on, I think it was Regis and Regis and Kelly back in the day promoting Entourage. They had just won the World Series. They were the guests before me, or I was before them. So I
Mhm.
see them backstage. I'm like, you guys won the chip. You could do the show now. And then sure enough, A-Rod and Teixeira did it. But like, to me, I mean, we had so many athlete cameos on the show, but A-Rod and Teixeira both like, no, we're like, it's not happening. Like, we have to win a championship before we start doing all that. So you could knock A-Rod all you want. I mean, did get us a championship, did come here on
Mm-hmm.
a mission to win, and
Mm-hmm.
did go to third base and never complained, never tried to steal shortstop back from Jeter, ever.
That to me, that was a big takeaway from the documentary. Hearing Jeter say that, beside whatever A-Rod went through here with the media and just the rumors, you never heard that rumor of A-Rod wanting to play shortstop, or so that's one of the rumors you never heard of when it came to A-Rod. And you bring it up, A-Rod was a superstar, right? Everybody talks about Michael Jordan's rookie season. Look at A-Rod's rookie year. He hit
Yeah.
340, damn near 40 home runs, 140 RBIs, and had 20 stolen bases.
He's
If
like
you look at
19.
A-Rod's rookie year, it's literally on par with Michael Jordan's rookie year. Like,
Yeah.
it's like that's how impactful they were. And to his credit, he did bring us a championship. He hit 50 home runs with us. Yes, everything that came afterwards with the lawsuit and the suspension. One thing I could say is that he recognized those mistakes now, and I feel that he has been forgiven, especially by Major League Baseball. He's having shows with Michael Kay every Sunday. So I think that he's forgiven when it comes to the universe of baseball. If Barry Bonds could be embraced in San Francisco, Mark McGwire be embraced in St. Louis, Pete Rose, with all the drama that Pete Rose has in Cincinnati and Philadelphia, why can't A-Rod be embraced fully by Yankee fans, right? And
I'm with you.
welcome that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna lose. I'm not gonna be on Twitter saying how is A-Rod's number not retired with the Yankees. Like I would understand it, but if they do, if and when they do that, I also think that that's the right move. I mean, even when he was up in the broadcast booth, the thing that I loved about like older A-Rod versus younger A-Rod is he kind of started making fun of himself a little bit.
Yes.
Kind of really got some perspective on like the younger version of himself, and wasn't taking, and you could even listen to him in those booths calling those games. Like the dude loves and can talk baseball, like he's a baseball nerd, right? So
Yeah.
it's refreshing to see. So yeah, I mean, and look, you talk about the suspensions and all the trouble he got in with it. Look, I get it. I get it. But man, if we really start doing that, we might as well just stop retiring jerseys altogether, which is fine. If we want to do that, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's just end all that and just not honor anybody because it's tainted potentially.
They talk about the PEDs and the steroids with A-Rod and Clemens and stuff. You guys got to remember, in the 60s, it was cocaine and caffeine. That's what it was in the 60s and 70s. Like, a lot of our favorite Hall of Famers from that time, if they got drug tests back then, a lot of people wouldn't like what's in their system.
Yeah, and look, I definitely, when all this was going on, of course, every baseball fan is like, "Oh man, really? You, not you." And I
Yeah.
think, not that we need to like toast Jeter even more, but from all accounts, that never been linked to any of that, and physically, he's never necessarily looked like he's been involved in that. So I think that only adds.
Yeah.
Ironically, like the thing that A-Rod might have been doing to like surpass not Jeter, but just might have just added to Jeter's legacy, right?
Just just to put that little, icing on the cake when it
Yeah,
comes to
I did
Jeter.
all this winning and stuff like that, and I just, I was just drinking water.
And eating waffles. That's all. But when it comes to uh A-Rod, right? And I'm just, this, I loved A-Rod. I was more heartbroken than anything, because in high school I didn't understand how you had factions of Team Jeter and Team A-Rod, but I was that guy that I wanted them to just coincide and just be great together. You brought up his postseason numbers. Um, Before that collapse in 2004, we all got to say it, but before that collapse, his numbers with the Yankees in the playoffs were phenomenal. He was having a
Yeah.
phenomenal postseason run, hitting over 300. He had about 3 home runs against Minnesota. He had 2 home runs against the Red Sox leading up to game 4 and beyond. But was it more psychological for A-Rod? Like, is New York City really that heavy weight when it comes to the media and the pressure? Like, is that really a thing?
I mean, I think it is. Again, I've had very limited public eye experiences, right? I've been in the public eye, but not near like 0.01% compared to a guy like A-Rod, right? So
Mhm.
just in New York, there's just nowhere to hide. And the fans like are so passionate, and it really is like a double-edged sword, because like getting, when he's like doing like workout stuff and kissing himself in the mirror, like it's not like, why do we care? Why? Who cares? But we do, because we think, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be out in batting practice. It's just not realistic. So I do think New York, you can't go anywhere. Not that any of these, not that he had an easier time in Texas or Seattle. He's Alex Rodriguez, but just New York, everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows, like, when you're probably out eating dinner, they're probably looking like, is he drinking? What's he drinking? What's he eating? Oh, he had the chicken parm. He's going to be bloated tomorrow. Like shit like that.
How
is
many
the stuff
calories
that
is he taking in?
Right. So I do think New York has that. As far as like the playoff stuff, and we were talking about it with Judge, and I think we could look at any great all-time great player. Like, yeah, of course they perform. A-Rod's numbers are still great, but teams just hone in on you. They're game planning to figure. I know it's different with baseball. You could game plan differently in football and basketball to take things away, but even in baseball, they're game planning for you. So it's to perform under those circumstances in New York. I do think adds to his legacy. Would have liked a few more rings out of the whole deal, but it's not. That's also not on him entirely.
Hypothetically, because this is a conversation I love to have with certain Yankee fans, but do you think we win more rings? Well, we got one with A-Rod, but if we would have got Beltran instead of A-Rod, what do you think would have worked better, Beltran or A-Rod?
That's a really good question, and obviously we'll never know. I think maybe it ends up being kind of the same, or I don't know. Because I think here's how I look at it. If you look at Beltran, if we got him, and if we won the ring, I think we've all been very, very satisfied with that. We would have liked more, but like, hey, Beltran got us a ring. We were a bunch of playoff before, like, great. With A-Rod, the one ring and constant playoffs is technically, I don't want to say disappointing, but for the expectations, we kind of say like didn't meet it because we thought we'd had 2 or 3. So I think we made the right move there. I don't know. Who knows, right? It's a fun argument. I think we might have gotten one with Beltran, though.
Yeah. It's a great hypothetical.
But
just
09 A-Rod was a beast.
Yeah, 09 A-Rod was a beast, especially coming back because he had hip surgery that offseason. So he came back. He started the season in Baltimore, and he literally finished at 30 and 100 RBIs. Like, that's how much of a beast he was. He missed the first month and a half because of a hip surgery, came back and still hit 30 home runs and still knocked in 100 RBIs.
Yeah,
so A-Rod,
it's hard to say,
is a beast. Yeah, he's a beast. But you bring up Aaron Judge, and this is the question, because Yankee fans, this offseason is going to be a big offseason for us. What's the deal? What's the contract you're giving Aaron Judge?
We talked about the Cashman Jeter thing, like, pay guys for what they did. You pay them for what they could do or what you think they could do. How old is Judge exactly right now?
Judge, he's 30 going on 31. 30. I believe he's a September baby like me.
Right. So, I do think he does get some money for what he's just done. Like, it's hard to fully ignore that. I think you do any means necessary. I mean, you don't want to see one of those crazy 7-10 year deal. Like, I don't know if you want to have it go that far. Maybe if you load it in a way where it's like descending, but I think you give him whatever you want. Look what the guy's doing.
Yeah.
And they're pitching around him. And he really doesn't have a lot of, like I said, you look at those averages, you look at some of those numbers, like, he really doesn't have anyone fully supporting him before or after him in the lineup that you're terrified of, right? So I don't know. I give him what he wants. Try not to make it a 10-year bond. Like, I don't know if we want him when he's 40 at a giant number, but definitely until he's 35, probably 36, and also there's like a DH career for him, down the road. If he wanted it, could always do that as well. So I give him what he wants. I think he's earned it. And I think there's a lot more left.
Besides the offense aspect of Judge's game, because that's what we know Judge for, from hitting the bombs, and he's a better center fielder than he is a right fielder, right? It's very weird to see that big body bends of Aaron Judge's body roll center field, make dives. I get a little bit nervous with him playing center field, but he is a better center fielder than right fielder. What's your views of him playing center field this year?
I just think that it adds to the legend. It's freak athleticism stuff we're seeing. We don't really talk about that with baseball. There's a few players this year that we've said, like, you know, I always look at it with baseball players mainly.
Mm-hmm.
What other sports? Because, you know, we'll never see Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders ever again. Like, we'll never see the two sport athlete where both sports are at a high level. I just don't think there's too much money to be made in one sport. If Bo Jackson just played baseball, would have still been the biggest baseball player on the planet, would have made tons of money and would have probably played for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But with Judge, you start seeing some of the things he's doing. It's like, yeah, this is one of the great athletes, regardless of sport, in the world that could have played football, that probably could have played basketball. Like, whatever he set his mind on, he was going to be great at. Because to move like that in center is nuts. You do worry about the injuries and all that, but it's just crazy, crazy athleticism. I met him once at a Knicks game, and I went up. First of all, obviously he's gigantic, and I'm short. But then, I shook his hand, and his hand came up to
It's
my
bigger than your
elbow.
arm.
I was like, "Oh man, nicest guy ever." And yeah, he's a freak athlete. Yeah, could have played any sport.
Yeah, it's amazing. Judge's his physique and the presence that he has. When the Yankees first drafted him back in 2013, 2014, I always did this comparison. I'm like, Aaron Judge is like if Blake Griffin and LeBron James had a child. Like that, to me, that was what I viewed Judge back in 2013. And to see him, even at the age right now, 31, of still being this dominating and to be this force, it's very easy for me to spend somebody else's money. But this is how the Yankees should do it in my eyes. Just offer him 36 to 38 million per year and just add in incentives. For every World Series appearance, you get an extra 2 million. For every MVP, you get an extra 2 million. For every World Series MVP, you get an extra 2 million. And for every All-Star appearance, you get an extra 2 million. That's an 8 million incentives for every year of the Yankees winning the championships. I'll take that. What about you?
Yes, but now, and maybe it's because I haven't been on the other end of negotiations like that, but just knowing in that negotiation game, you know, incentives are great, and he'll hopefully hit a lot of those. I do think incentive-driven contracts are very interesting with athletes because they're already competitive. I mean, 99.9% of them are just the most competitive people on the planet. But you start looking at like that, you know, the guaranteed money in sports is really what's king, you know? So those numbers are great. They may just come back and say, well, yeah, that 8 million in incentives, take it away. Just give us 6 guaranteed on the front end. Like, let's give us 6 and no, take the incentives out, just give us another 6 and we'll call it a day. Right. Like
Yeah.
that's how these negotiations very well might go. Who knows? So,
Yeah.
but
But
yeah,
when
man, it's gonna be interesting. But I don't want him to become Don Mattingly, meaning like I don't want him to be that great Yankee that didn't get that ring. I want to see him in the World Series. I want to see him get that ring.
Definitely. I know you got like probably like 2 minutes. I just want to throw this last thing out there
Yeah,
real quick.
please.
I just want to say I appreciate you for coming on, Jerry. One thing I wanted to tell you since I've been on with you and Drew Austin and Jigga Man on the Knicks show was that growing up in high school, I was very seen with your character and Entourage, right? You playing Turtle, I was very seen. And I never saw the first season. What it was is I was watching the Knicks game, they lost, but you were on for the post game, right? So I'm listening to you and I'm like, all right, this dude sounds really cool. Literally that night, I went to HBO on demand and I literally watched the entire first season of Entourage. I didn't go to school the next day, right? But I had a good excuse to my mom's like, listen, I found this amazing show we have to watch. But I just want to say thank you for being that cool guy, that New Yorker when it came to that show, because you literally represented every Yankee fan, every diehard Knick fan with your portrayal of Turtle. And to me, Turtle, if I had a MySpace top 10, he would probably be second or third in my top 10 on MySpace.
Listen, that honestly, that's very, very cool to hear. Thank you for saying that. I really do appreciate it. Yeah. You gotta remember, you watched that season 1. You know, I was 23 years old when we shot that first season. I was very raw. I was not out of Brooklyn that long, and that's just kind of how my friends and I grew up. It was, you know, it was hip hop, it was Yankees, it was Knicks, it was sports and hip hop and other stuff, but that's really what that's what we did. So, and I give a lot of credit to our show creator, Doug Ellen, who he himself is a Yankee fan, big sports guy too. And kind of once he met me and we got to know each other, he infused a lot of that in the show. I was wearing jerseys in my regular life at that point. So yeah, I even got the chance to tell Jerome Bettis at this golf tournament in Detroit. I met Jerome Bettis. I'm like, dude, you're one of my favorite players ever. At my final audition for Entourage, they wanted me to wear a jersey because that's the way and I was like looking through my closet of jerseys. I'm like, what's the lucky one? And I picked out the Jerome Bettis Pittsburgh Steelers, and I wore that to my final audition. And I got to tell Jerome Bettis that, and I'm going to send it to him, get it signed, and all that. So that really was acting, and obviously those characters. I'm very, very different than Turtle in a lot of ways. When I was younger, I definitely am not as confident as he was talking to women. All the guy had no fear, no filter. I'm much more in my own head. But with the sports and the music and just the vibe with the friends, that was who I was. So I appreciate you saying that.
No, honestly, you saw it because it didn't seem like it was forced. Like nothing seemed like it was forced. And them allowing you to wear those jerseys just, to me, was icing on the cake.
I wish I had them all. There's some I remember, like the Garnett and McGrady McDonald's All-American one. There's some I wish.
That's the thing. That's the thing about New Yorkers. It doesn't have to be our team for us to rock it, right? We're going to rock a jersey no matter what. We're going to rock a hat no matter what. One of my favorite hats is the Oakland A's hat. I know we just split a series with them, but that green and that A is a legendary combo.
All right, so real quick, and then I got to jump. I definitely got so. If I had one big critique of the show that I fought for and lost, I lost this battle. Now, no one else cares but me. Maybe you'll care. Maybe you'll have a take on this. So I am very traditional. Like, I'm with you. I've worn Blue Jays hats. I like, it's a color thing. I love that old Mariners hat back in the day on those A-Rod teams. That's how New Yorkers are. If it goes with the fit, we're wearing it. But when it comes to like your team, like the Yankee hat is as classic as it gets, right? And I wore that on Entourage the whole time. And they would kind of match up. Right, boom. They would kind of match the outfit with the hat. And I always felt that was a violation. Like if I was wearing a green shirt, Yankee hats, they make in every color. So I'd have the new era green Yankee hat. I hated that.
Nah.
I hated that.
Yeah, there's some hat or color schemes on a hat that's okay, but
not the Yankee hat.
Nah, not the Yankee hat.
Hated it, man. Hated it.
Yeah. Maybe a Mets hat, but not the Yankee hat.
Yeah, I was dead against it, but I lost that battle. So
yeah, but Jerry, bro, appreciate you for spending this time. Hopefully, in the future, we could get you back on.
Absolutely.
With the playoffs that's going to start, we got a Red Sox series coming up, so hopefully, we could bring you back to have more of a conversation, brother.
I would love to be back, and you know what? In my opinion, playoffs have already started. We got Tampa 6 times in 12 games. Playoffs have already started. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go, baby. Let's go, Yankees. And let's go, Knicks. RJ Barrett just got that extension. Let's go.
Take it easy, man.
Later, bro. Later. Awesome having Jerry. That was a great conversation. Got my man's backstage. I got Hillel from Backstage Baseball. But we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. We'll bring up the open panel. But we'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned right there. My man Hillel, good morning, brother. How you doing?
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. Tough loss last night. But this is why I always need you, right? This is why it's always great for me to have you and to have my guy Frankie, because you guys talk me off the ledge. But I don't want to assume what your feelings are about the game. So give me your thoughts, Hillel. What was your thoughts on the game last night? What's your feelings?
So I have a couple of thoughts. I have my bat because I want to do a little breakdown on that bunt if we have time. But DJ's like squeeze bunt. But oh my God, Oswaldo teased us last night. It looked like a perfect swing off the bat. It looked like it was going dead center. And wow, rough loss.
I I honestly I couldn't clip it together because one, I didn't have the energy to clip it together, but it's like you seen the movie Angels in the Outfield, right? You've seen that movie before, right? When Oswaldo Cabrera hit it, it literally felt like an angel came from up above, grabbed the ball, and put it in Mike Trout glove because from his reaction, I thought it was gone. Like I honestly thought it was gone. He had his first home run of the year, but it just missed it just about that. Do you think that it's Oswaldo is not used to how big these ballparks are, or he was just confused off of the bat?
I think the ball wasn't carrying last night. I think it just died. He put a
Mm.
really good swing on it. I didn't see anything that he missed on it. It could be that, but I really think just the ball wasn't carrying.
Yeah, I honestly think the same thing. I honestly think just the ball wasn't carrying, and it was just tough last night. So let's get into these lineups. We'll start off with the Yankees, and then we'll break down the Angels right afterwards. Because when it comes to Frankie Montas, right, and this is a conversation I want to have, and I'll segue this into the open panel when the guys come on. I'll put the link out there in a few. But Frankie Montas he's not looking like what was advertised when we got him from Oakland. And this is something that if anybody replays any of the videos from the Yankees Morning Brew from early in the season, I was always wary about trading for Frankie Montas for the simple fact of if you look at the track record from the Oakland A's, especially these past 20 years, pitchers that they trade away to other teams do not succeed in their new team, right? The only one that did was Tim Hudson and the Atlanta Braves. Besides that, Mark Mulder, he wasn't good with St. Louis probably for a year. Barry Zito left, wasn't good with San Francisco. The Yankees traded for Sonny Gray, he wasn't good also. The San Diego Padres traded for one of the A's pitching. I forgot his name, but he's not having a great year right now with the San Diego Padres. So is it just because I always attested to that foul territory in Oakland being so wide, you can get extra outs with it. What's your feeling so far when it comes to Frankie Montas and the 5 or 6 starts that he had with the Yankees so far?
I'm not sure if he's comfortable in New York right now. We obviously came in with the expectation that he was going to be our second ace. He was going to be that guy that we can go on to get. I'm not moving on from that fact that we've seen 5 starts from him, 2 of which have been solid and 3 of which have not been great. So I'm looking at Frankie Montas. Obviously, it was a couple. He gave up 3 home runs last night. That wasn't good to see. Trout got some hits off him, but if what I'm looking for from Montas is his release point was off. He's releasing from up here rather than leveled. I noticed that last night, and I want him to go back to the game plan that he had in Oakland, not the game plan that New York's in, because clearly that's not working. So I need Frankie Montas to lead the boat and tell them where he wants to go with his pitching, not what the Yankees want to do with him.
Yeah, I agree. It's 5 starts, like you said, Halal, and he still hasn't gotten a win yet with the Yankees, and that's just a bit concerning, just a little bit. But yeah, it just makes it seem worse when the team is just losing, right? When the team is just not being able to put it all together. And granted, he did pitch 7 innings. He gave up 4 runs, but he did pitch 7 innings for us, which is something, he's extended himself. He's getting up to 100 pitches. So hopefully he can get comfortable. The calendar is about to turn into September in a couple of days. So hopefully when the calendar changes from August to September, the rest of this Yankee team can finally get it figured out, Halal. But let's do the breakdown of the team. I'll read the lineup, you do the pitching, and then vice versa for the Angels. So DJ LeMahieu was the leadoff hitter. At third base, he was 0 for 3. Aaron Judge had his 50th home run last night, was 1 for 2. Andrew Benintendi in left field was 1 for 4. Giancarlo Stanton struggling coming out the gate since his injury, since those 3 hits in Oakland. He was 0 for 4. Gleyber Torres is still struggling at second base. Gleyber Torres is 0 for 4 in a day. Anthony Rizzo, he had a home run, but Anthony Rizzo, this is his second home run since coming back from that IO stint with his back. I'm not sure if he's fully healthy yet when it comes to his back. This is the lowest he's batted in a batting order since 2013, also the 6th spot. So hopefully this is just him, a lefty on lefty, and this is not something that carries on for the season. But Jose Trevino was 0 for 4 last night. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was 1 for 2. They pitch hit him in the 9th, which was a bit a head scratcher for me. But Josh Donaldson came through with the pitch hit single, and Oswaldo Cabrera was just 3 or 5 feet away from having his first home run of his career and tying it up for the Yankees. But I just want to pause this right here because I got some stats real quick, right? Gleyber Torres, Halal, and I want your thoughts on this. Gleyber Torres, since the All-Star break, is batting 190. Since the All-Star break, he has a slugging percentage and an OP. He has a slugging and he has an OPS combined that's barely over 300. What's going on with Gleyber Torres? Halal.
He's trying to pull the ball too much. He's gone back to that long ball dream that he keeps having. He's not that hitter. He's got to find a way. He's going the opposite way. When a hitter's swinging, he's going the opposite way. I know Yankee fans were confused about this, but when a hitter's swinging and he's trying to go the opposite way, a righty in specific, he swings and his whole weight goes to first base. He's trying to swing here. You're swinging and you're going like that basically, and you're driving the ball towards the outfield without the whole leg kick and stuff. So you're driving the ball to first base basically, and he's not doing that. Has that pull mentality. I see he's taking away the leg kick with 2 strikes. If that's working for 2 strikes, do that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. When Gleyber Torres first came up as a rookie, right? One of the things that impressed me as a Yankee fan or just a baseball fan in general was the fact that with 2 strikes, he was always going to opposite field. He was always going to try to hit the ball to right field. That was the approach he had. But it seems like ever since he knocked in 38 home runs that one season, he's moved away from that, and he's been a pool hitter. Early in the year, because in the first half, he was competing, and it was a good case for him to make the All-Star game, right? He was hitting 274 before the All-Star break. He had 18 home runs. Since then, he hasn't had a home run. His extra bases are down. His batting average is down. His on-base percentage, so everything is just completely down for Gleyber Torres. And I'm not sure if it's a mechanical issue. I'm not sure if it's an injury, but whatever it is, it has to be fixed, because if Gleyber Torres is batting like that, there's no way that he could bat behind Stanton and be Stanton's protection. There's no way that could happen. And even with DJ LeMahieu's injuries, right? Ever since his toe injury over the past 10 games, right? DJ LeMahieu over the past 10 games hasn't gotten an extra base hit, right? And if you want to take it back a bit further, the past 15 games, DJ LeMahieu batting average is 217. You're not going to have many success if DJ is struggling, if Stanton is struggling, and if Rizzo's struggling, and if Torres is struggling. Those are 4 out of our top 6 or 7 hitters. Go ahead, Halal.
Look, I don't want LeMahieu in the leadoff spot if he's not going to, but put Bennington in the leadoff spot. Also, I want Cabrera to be moved up in the order. He's hitting better than Torres right now, much better than Torres. Have him bat 5th. I get he's a rookie, but if he's hitting the ball hard, he's hitting the ball well, why not? He's a switch hitter. He creates balance in your order. And I wouldn't say he gives Stanton protection, but it's definitely more protection than he's giving Torres. Than Torres gave him, excuse me. But I for September call-ups, if Torres isn't hitting well, I would strongly consider, I don't think this is going to happen, but I would strongly consider Peraza.
Yeah, definitely. But you talk about Cabrera, right? He's batting better than Gleyber Torres. He's batting a lot better than a lot of these people in this lineup, right? Let's be honest. But I wouldn't be opposed to putting Cabrera in the leadoff spot, putting Benintendi in that 2 hole, and then having Judge in the 3 hole. When you look at Oswald Cabrera, he has the eye, right? He has it. He doesn't go outside of the batter's box. He doesn't try to extend himself. He doesn't try to do too much. He puts the bat on the ball. Maybe he strikes out a little bit too much. And granted, he's a rookie. Rookies are going to strike out. But what's your thoughts about putting him in the leadoff spot?
Yeah, it's a very interesting decision because he also has some speed. But I have to say, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I really liked how we had Rizzo in the 6th spot because that created more balance. So I'm all about this balance in our order thing. I don't know what it is. But when we get down to the 6th spot, usually you're going to see Torres and Donaldson, and it's just automatic guys, Higashioka. I really like having Rizzo in that 6th spot because when you get down there, I don't say keep Rizzo down there. Maybe you put LeMahieu down there until he starts hitting. So here's what I would go with for a lineup. I really like your idea with Cabrera. I don't know if the Yankees would do it though.
Yeah.
I do. I probably go Cabrera, Benintendi, Judge. I don't know if Stanton's gonna play tonight.
No, he gets a day off tonight. Give him a day off.
Yeah, I hear. So maybe we have Donaldson DHing, and then no Rizzo will hit fourth. Then we have Donaldson DHing. Then LeMahieu at third, and I put Cabrera in the leadoff spot. Who else? Then I want Hicks in the lineup tonight, and then we go. I think Trevino's gonna sit today just to get him on, just to ease him back in if he's not 100%.
I wanna ask you real quick, right? Before we continue. Last night in that ninth inning, when they was talking about sending Aaron Hicks up to bat, what was your thoughts when you heard that? What was your thoughts, Halal?
I got so excited. I'm like, what is Aaron doing? I mean, I'm like,
you can't make it up. You can't make it up because my head was spinning when Michael K said, "Oh, Aaron Hicks is coming to pinch hit." I was like, Jesus! I literally grabbed my hat and threw it on the floor. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Thankfully, he didn't, and Josh Donaldson still came up and got that single through the right side. You know, going the opposite way.
Yeah, look, I have to say, it looks that because of that game in Oakland, Hicks's confidence might be a little bit back, and that would be a mistake to bring him in a pinch hit situation there, because then all that confidence just goes right out the window.
Right out the window. Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
So I like how he brought in Donaldson. Obviously, it probably wasn't a great matchup. But if you don't have any other lefties on the bench, that's what you got to do, because Donaldson is probably one of the best hitters out of the three hitters that he had the option of going to, whether it was Hicks staying with Kiner Falefa or using Donaldson. And Donaldson got lucky not because of the shift, but that also helped him. But he didn't see that wicked slider that would have wrecked him.
Yeah, definitely. Read off the pitching side of things, and then I'll touch on the chat real quick before we go to the Angels. Go ahead, read off the pitchers.
Frankie Montas went 6 innings last night. I predicted him to go 7 strong. He really did not. Gave up 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 homers, 0 walks, and 6 strikeouts. It looked like his command was good with that 0 walks, but he gave up way too many homers. And it looks like maybe we have Clay Holmes back. That was refreshing to see. Well, by the way, we have to touch on Glaber made a bone. What was he doing? He just didn't touch. It was ridiculous.
I don't know. And that's, you know, when you talk about Clay Holmes struggling, right? When he first started struggling, that the reason he was struggling was because his defense was letting him down, right? You saw it in Boston. You saw it last night with Gleyber Torres. So it's been a bit of bad luck for Clay Holmes, but it seems like you said, he's back.
Also, his sinker is catching too much of the plate. That's what I noticed. So if his sinker can cover either the outer half of the plate and move outward or into hitters, I think it will be much better. But he looked good tonight. 1 inning pitch, no hits, 0 earned runs, no walks, a strikeout. Then Licky came in. He worked an inning, gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, and 1 strikeout. And Frankie Montas got the loss.
Yeah, Frankie Montas' record goes to 4-11. He hasn't won a game with the Yankees, and that's why I was talking earlier. He's starting to look like Michael Pineda instead of Frankie Montas right now. Screw the Angels real quick. Before I read off and we start off with the Angels, I want to touch to the chat real quick. Shout out my guy Chris de la Isla, Chris Hope all as well. He said they have to cut bait with Hicks. He and Gonzalez have no roles on his team, and the few at-bats that they are giving, the team gets nothing. Yep, I 100% agree, especially with Marwin. Marwin has really been struggling out recently, especially in this month. He's really been struggling. What's your thoughts on Marwin? Do you think, and we talked about this, will he make the postseason roster? Who's going to take his spot? Like, these are all conversations that we have to be having with ourselves. Go ahead, Hello.
I think Cabrera will take his spot on the postseason roster, because Cabrera is giving us so much more production, and they basically can do everything equally, except the fact that Cabrera can do it better than him.
Yeah, definitely. And James Cook says, how many home runs would Babe Ruth have had if he would have showed up if he didn't show up to play either drunk or hung over or even cared about his body like today. Listen, James Cook, all I'm gonna say is my man Babe Ruth's body was built like a legend. You understand? I never heard of anybody that could take down 2 6-packs, 5 hot dogs, and still hit 2 home runs in a game. So my man's body was built like an athlete back there in the 20s. Some more real quick. Salute my guys, still Knick fans. Great job, bro. Fantastic convo. Appreciate that. Let's go Knicks. RJ got that contract extension, baby. Eric, my guy Eric, he said I could see a scenario where Judge could pick the Giants. I don't see the Dodgers or Padres scenario. That's what scares us. What's your thoughts on that real quick? That very scares me, the prospects of him going to San Francisco. Hello.
Yeah, it's definitely something scary to think about because he's going to give us so much production, and when he's with us, you see the difference when he's not in our lineup. So the Yankees are either going to have to make a decision to keep Judge and build around him, get those guys that can hit around him, or move on from Judge and find the guys that can shape up a really good roster where it's not just one guy carrying the team.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So I put the link in the chat for the open panel. We're just going to break down the Angels, and then we'll have the open panel, have a conversation going back and forth. But you could go ahead and read the lineups. I'll do the pitching side of things, Salah.
David Fletcher led off. He was at second base. He was 0 for 4. Mike Trout had a good night in center field. He was 2 for 3. Shohei Ohtani was a designated hitter. Hit a home run. He was 2 for 4. Luis Rengifo also hit a home run, 1 for 4. He was at third base. Taylor Ward was 0 for 4 in right field. Mike Ford, former Yankee first baseman, hit a homer, and he was not singing the Yankees dugout. That was to some fans on the first base side, according to Brian Hogue. So he was at first base. He was 2 for 3. Joe Adell in left field was 0 for 3. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's name. I have no clue how. But he was the catcher, and he was 2 for 3. And Andrew Velasquez was a shortstop. He was 0 for 3.
I believe it's pronounced Tice. I'm somebody that, my last name is Beauchamp. I'm somebody that I like my name to be pronounced properly. That's why I go out of my way to make sure I pronounce people's names properly. I think it's, it's important in life nowadays. But Andrew Velasquez, great to see Andrew Velasquez. He is a Gold Glove shortstop. I don't care what it is. I would love to have him in our lineup, in the ninth hole, replacing IKF, because 1, he's a switch hitter. 2, he has a little bit of pop. He has speed and the energy that he brings. So shout out to Andrew Velasquez and what he's doing over there. He may not be the best offensively, but defensively and energy wise, he does bring it.
You think he's better than IKF?
Defensively and speed wise, he's definitely better than IKF. He can't hit like IKF. IKF definitely is more of a contact hitter, better at batting average, but Andrew Velasquez, I believe he has 6 or 8 home runs. So he does have some pop and he has speed to him. So honestly, I think I would have rather him over IKF in just my opinion.
I would have kept him on the roster.
You would have kept
him as a late inning defensive replacement / pinch hitter.
If you had to choose, would you choose IKF over Vasquez as a starting shortstop?
Starting right now, yeah, probably. But you see, I don't know. I like his speed, but I feel like it's just 3 outs in our order instead of IKF. He can get on base. So I probably would go with IKF just to create some more exposure in our lineup.
Yeah, I agree. I feel you. So Suarez was a starting pitcher for the Angels last night. He pitched good. He kept the Yankees bat very quiet. He pitched 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Turpa came in afterwards. He gave up that big home run to Judge, but Turpa pitched the inning in the third, 1 hit, 1 run, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. Quijada came in afterwards. The lefty Quijada pitched the inning, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and no strikeouts. And then Hergood closed it out. He got his 4th stage of the season. He pitched 2/3, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 1 strikeout. That's the Angels side of things. Suarez is the winning pitcher. He improved to 5-6. And like I said, Hergood got his 4th save of the season. So I'll just play this little clip because Aaron Judge did get his 50th home run. And we like to say chasing bonds over here in the Yankees Morning Brew. So we'll be right back with the panel. are back. Mikey Mazza, I see you back there. Hold on for me 1 second. I got somebody that I want to bring in. He's been in the chat. There's been somebody that's been very active in the chat, especially the past week and a half to 2 weeks.
I got
But my
somebody
man,
that I want. Hey, what's up, man?
football as well. Good morning.
Good, man. I'm the guy you were talking to from Talking Rivals yesterday.
Yeah. Definitely. I appreciate you for coming through, bro. If you want, plug your channel. Let the people know where they can find you, where they can find you on IG and YouTube, Twitter, wherever you have your socials. Just let them know real quick.
Yeah, no, I'm a co-host of a podcast called Talking Rivals. We cover the Yankees and the Red Sox. I co-hosted with Patrick Trotty. He's the Red Sox fan, so we kind of go back and forth. Nothing too mean. We just kind of chat about the teams and, basically what you're doing, kind of updating the week and previewing the next week coming up and what's going on. You can find us at Talking Rivals on Twitter, myself at CP7NY, and Patrick, you could find him at Patrick Trotty on Twitter as well.
Awesome. Listen, over here, we love to have spirited conversation. Doesn't matter if you're a Mets fan, a Red Sox fan, whatever team that you have in baseball, you can always come to the Yankee Morning Brew to have the conversations. And, I'm going to bring my man Mikey Mazza in the 4 Train Express, but the Yankees, they have a series with the Red Sox coming up in about 2 weeks. I would like to set it up that probably like the 15th or 16th. If you and your compadre will want to come on in the morning just to have a conversation, break down one of those games, more than welcome to. We can set it up on IG if that's something you're interested in.
Definitely, yeah. No, without a doubt, man. Hit us up on Twitter, and we'll set it up.
Copy. But back to this game, right, with the Yankees, right? I'm going to start off with you, Chris, since it's your first time on the panel. What's your overall sentiment when it comes to this team? Because it seems like they tease us, right? The beginning of the season, we was riding on a hot horse. August, we've been struggling. Last week, we swept that series with the Mets where everybody thought everything was good. But now we're struggling against teams we shouldn't be struggling. What's your thoughts ultimately right now?
Well, right now, this team is struggling big time. The first couple of months, first 3 months, the team was, best team in baseball without a doubt. But the last 2 months, is this the real team we're seeing? Or was the first 3 months the real team we're seeing? I think it's kind of in between. But, we can't be this bad. But we got to remember, the first 3 months of the year, we were getting almost nothing from the bottom part of that lineup, right? We were riding Judge and Rizzo at the top with Stanton. Now we're getting nothing from anybody from Judge, other than Judge, excuse me. So, and now, do we have a closer? That's the other thing. I always thought for me, and I think for most teams, the bullpen, especially the closer, is the backbone of your team, right? Because that's the guy that's going to finish your game up. And right now, we don't have a closer. We're crossing our fingers that Holmes comes back and he's back to what he was early in the season, right? So hopefully we're back in that sense. But the lineup has to get better. And, I've been saying this for a while. I don't think this team has any leaders on the team. We could say Judge is going to be the captain next year if he resigns. We could say Rizzo is a great leader. Show me it. Right now, for 2 months now, this team is struggling. This is when leadership on a team steps up. And I'm not blaming just the players. I'm blaming the manager, the GM, and I'm going all the way up to the owner. There's no leadership. You don't hear anything from our owner, from Hal, right? He hasn't said anything. He hasn't said, hey, this team's got to step it up. And if this was, I hate to say if George was here, I don't like saying that anymore because he's been gone a while. Let's move on, right? But Hal is nothing. He's not a leader of this organization. Cashman, same thing. And then we finally got some kind of something out of Boone. What was it last week when he pounded the table, and all this kind of stuff? That was great to see, but the team hasn't responded. We're back to, losing against easy teams. We should have feasted on the A's and now the Angels, right? The A's we should have swept. That's a AAA team at this point. And the Angels, that's another team. You got to beat these guys.
Yeah, great point. Great points, Chris. All around, every point you hit, key points. And you bring up something that caught my eye, and I'll toss it over to Mazza right after this. But you bring up George, right? And I know you just said that you don't like to go back to if George was in charge. But the thing about what separates the teams when George was here. And yes, 2009 he was at the later stage of his life, so not even 2009, but the 2000 and the 90s. What separates this Yankee team from that Yankee team is that we knew George Steinbrenner. The buck stopped with him, right? If there was any blames or any criticism of the team, he would take full responsibility. He wouldn't toss that on to anybody else, right? I'm not sure where you lie when it comes to being in the NBA, but as a Knicks fan, that's what the Knicks are missing. We don't have anybody in that Knicks organization that says the buck stops with me. This is where it is, and I'm gonna take full responsibility. I'm gonna take all the criticism. Right now, this Yankee team doesn't have that. You made great points with Boone smashing the table. That was some type of energy. Aaron Judge calling out the players, saying that this dugout doesn't have the energy it had in the beginning of the season. Mazza, I'm gonna throw it over to you now. With all the points that Chris made, what's your feelings after last night's loss? And as well, always like to appreciate the passing, the pinstripes, and the excellent T-shirt you have, because this is a great conversation to have that T-shirt on. Go ahead, Mazza.
Have we peaked? Have we peaked? Or did we peak already? That's the question we should be asking. It's not, are we going to wake up? Are we going to play better? Is this offense ever going to come around? No. That's not the question we should be asking. The question we should be asking is, have we peaked? Because from what they're showing now, compared to the first few months of this season, we've peaked. We're done. We're taxed. We're spent. We don't have any passion. We don't have any drive. We don't have any love to play. We just stopped hitting the accelerator, and we've peaked. That's what this team is showing. And that all starts with the front office. This is not on Boone. You cannot blame Boone for this because he has no control over this ship anymore. This is a runaway freight train, and he can't stop it. He needs the help from the leadership. The problem is the leadership is not giving him that help. The leadership is letting him sink. Mm-hmm. And something that we say at work is, if you can't fix it, troubleshoot it. Because you got to figure out what the real problem is. That's what they need to do. The real problem is you got an owner in Hal who doesn't care about this team. It clearly shows from everything that's gone on. You have an owner who wants to stay quiet but wants to show up when he wants to. That's not how that works. Like you said, Hector, when George was around, and I know you said this, Chris, you hate to use that, but it's true. When the Yankees were faulty in the early 2000s and in the 90s, George took all the blame. Mm-hmm. George was
first. Just hold the rest of that thought real quick, just 1 second. Hello, I'm gonna throw it to you because I know you got to dip out real quick. But what's your last words before you dip out for the peoples? My apologies, Miles. I'll throw it right back to you because I just know he has a dip.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Agree with Miles 100% on all of those points. I personally like Boone as a manager. I think he's doing a solid job. But yeah, Yankees really got to turn it around right here. Right now, they got to win the next two games against the Angels, and then we got to figure out what we're going to do against the Rays, because that is, as Jerry mentioned earlier on in the show, that is a playoff series. Thank you so much for having me on, Hector, and I guess
of course
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, the baby. Later, Hell, I'll see you tomorrow. And also as well in the chat, I saw this a bit earlier while the conversation was going. I couldn't pause to grab the chat, but where is it? Hold on. Wow, I feel so dumb right now. But yeah, my man Frankie, who's in school right now, was in the chat a little while ago. But shout out to my man Frankie getting settled in school. Go ahead, Miles. You can finish your thoughts. Go ahead, brother.
So that's how we have to look at this. This is how we have to approach it. Because when George was around, and I hate using that, this is my fault. We don't have that in Hal. Hank did the same thing as his father. That's why Hank was a better owner, because he learned that from his father. And I hate to say that because Hank, who's deceased now, and God bless him for doing what he did for this team, his brother Hal, he's a joke. He's a joke. So the question we should be asking is, have we peaked?
That's a great question. I think early in the season, we were healthy, and Chris, I'll throw it to you right after this. But one thing that us Yankee fans we could tip our hat on and we could hold our hat to is that at the beginning part of the season, we were healthy. We had everybody healthy. Not one person was on the IL. We were the only team for the first 2.5 months of the season that didn't have anybody going on the IL. Now I'm gonna just read off real quick. Right now on the 60-day IL, we got Luis Severino, we got Miguel Castro, Michael King is out for the rest of the year. Steven Ridings, who came up last year and was awesome with us last year, he's been out all year with a right shoulder injury. Chad Green got Tommy John. He's out for the rest of the year. Zach Britton is recovering. He's trying to come back. Albert Abreu is on the 15-day IL. Aroldis Chapman is on the IL. Nestor Cortez is on the 15-day IL, and Scott Efros is on the 15-day IL. That was literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 pitchers that I just named. Luis Hill, Luis Severino, Zach Britton, Miguel Castro, Michael King, Steven Ridings, Albert Abreu, Aroldis Chapman, Nestor Cortez, and Scott Efros. Those are all valuable contributors to this rotation and to this bullpen. Chris, I'll put it to you. Going forward, do you see this bullpen getting back into shape? Because you bring it up, what the Yankees were so good at these prior years was our bullpen, and it's struggling right now. What's your sentiments on the bullpen and its injuries?
I think the bullpen's going to get better, and I think with Holmes coming back, and we just got to cross our fingers. Can Holmes recreate what he did earlier in the year? If he can, then I think that'll solidify the bullpen, because then you'll have a closer, and then the rest of the bullpen could work itself out. The 7th inning, 8th inning. I feel a little more confident with Holmes coming back. And then out of the guys that are coming back, Severino should be back, right? That's also going to help us more in the postseason, hopefully. But I feel better. Like with a couple I don't know how Britton's going to be if he gets back, because he's been out for so long, and Tommy John, that's going to be a hard that's going to be a hard ask for him to come back after missing all this time, and then having maybe a week or two to get ready for the postseason, and then say, okay, now you got to get tough outs in the postseason. So I
turn it on like that. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah,
sorry.
So that I'm not going to I don't know if I could count on him so much. Here's my question too, and you guys see it. Think about the last few years that this team has gone through in the playoffs, and they've died out in the postseason every single year offensively, right? Their offense just seems to just die out in the postseason. Yeah. I get it. We're playing against, tougher pitching. That's fine. But other teams figure it out, right? They figure out to score 3, 4, 5 runs, whatever it is, whatever they need. Our team just doesn't do that.
Yeah,
that's my biggest problem. Like, this offense just dies out in the playoffs, even if they've been hitting all, during the season. They just die out in the postseason. What is wrong here?
Yeah,
that's what I want. Like, what is going on?
When you look back, and I'll throw it to Mazza right after this. When you look back these past 3 years, or ever since Judge's rookie year, 2017, 2018, ever since then, it, like you said, Chris, it was our hitting that hurt us in the playoffs. Yes, Chapman gives up a couple home runs to Altuve and to the Astros. Yes, we understand that. But when you look at our pitching staff overall, our pitching was solid. It has been solid. It's just been the timely hitting. It's just having guys who could get that extra base hit in the 8th inning, in the 9th inning, when you need it in the postseason. Mikey Mazza going forward, what's your overall view on the team going into the playoffs? Like, are you trusting this team? Like, because this is a question we had to ask ourselves. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, Mazza, but do you have faith that this team can even make the World Series?
No.
Mazza, you there?
I have zero faith they're making.
Oh, okay.
I have zero faith that they're making the World Series. They will make the playoffs, but I have zero faith in them going to the World Series, because this team cannot come up with the timely hits. This team cannot seem to figure it out. For some odd reason, when it comes to October, they shut down. They shut down and they stop doing all the stop using the fundamentals that they were taught. They stop playing fundamental baseball. They stop playing small ball. They stop moving runners over. They stop stealing. They stop doing all the little things that help win ball games, especially in the postseason. That's the problem with the Yankees. So the question that should be asked is, why do they stop it? Not, are they ever going to get it back? Are they ever going to return to that? Because that's not the question that we should be thinking about. It's, why do they stop it? Because they use it during the regular season. We've seen it. But it's why in the postseason? Why then do they stop doing that, revert habits, and try to swing for the fences every time? And another thing, why is Glaber hitting behind? He has not done anything since the All-Star break. He's hitting $190. For what? Are we still having him behind Stanton? He's not producing. He's no protection. Guys aren't scared of him.
No, I see what you're saying, Mazza, and you make great points. But right now, when you look at this lineup, who do you have confidence in batting behind Stanton? That's what when it becomes laughable, and it's like the bar's on the ground, right? Because it's like you can't bat Trevino behind Stanton, you can't bat Donaldson, because even Donaldson right now is struggling. So when you look at this team, our main hitters is Benintendi, is Judge, and that's it. Because as awesome as a year that Rizzo
this might
28 with 28 home runs, his batting average is literally 218, 220. DJ LeMahieu, as awesome as he has been. I'm sorry, Mazza, what you were saying, bro?
Yeah. I was going to say, as sad as this is, I would have LeMahieu bat behind Stanton. No, because I have more faith in LeMahieu to do something than I do Torres.
No, 100%. I'll throw it over to Chris right after this. But when you talk about LeMahieu, ever since LeMahieu had that toe issue, these past 10 games, he hasn't had a extra base hit. In the past 15 games, even DJ LeMahieu's batting 220. So it's literally this entire team is struggling offensively. Besides Judge and Benintendi, who recently just came on lately. Chris, is there anyone else in this lineup that you have? And just take us out because it's about to be 12:30. So let's just close this out with your last statement, and then let the people know again where they can find you, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't feel confident at all. Like, who else can we use? The outside of a big move, getting Peraza up, and we've been talking about that for the past month or so now, but that's probably not going to happen, even though that would be a great move to do right now. But outside of that, you're going to have to roll with these guys because that's what we have. We're stuck. There's no other move because think about it. Hicks and Gonzalez give you nothing, right? LaCastro came up, nothing offensively. So there's no other option. You got to put these guys out there. My thing is DJ still hurt? Is he not over this injury? Because like you said, he hasn't even had an extra base hit, and he's not even hitting at all. So something is up, and there's not much you could do right now with the lineup. I mean, you can move guys a little bit, maybe drop Torres a little bit, but then who's going to bat behind Stanton? You're going to move Donaldson maybe up. I guess you got to move. You got to try things. That's the thing. Boone's got to try moving guys around. So that would be my. I don't know what. Try a different combination. Maybe Judge batting third, move up. I don't know. It's at this point you got to try something. Because what's working now is not working, or what's on now is not working. So
it's weird, man, because it's been a weird situation ever since this All-Star break happened. Like after the All-Star break, this team literally has fallen flat on their face, and it's the weirdest situation ever. Mikey Mazza, what's your final thoughts before we cut out?
So my couple final thoughts is with the Yankees' struggles. This team has shown us three things. When they struggle, they can't rebound. They can't do it. They'll go on a nice little 5-game win streak, but then what? 2 days later, they'll collapse? Mm-hmm. 2, they've shown us they're an inconsistent baseball team. And 3, probably the most important thing is they need to get younger. They do not have enough youth. They've got guys who are 29, 30 years old, and then you've got your superstar who's about to walk in free agency if we don't give him the money he wants, and he's 31. Where's the youth? Where's the guys like a Jason Dominguez or an Anthony Volpe or an Oswald Peraza? Look at Oswaldo Cabrera. He can only give you a spark for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't just rely on one piece of youth. You have to rely on other pieces like a Volpe or a Dominguez or a Peraza. You have to give them their shot.
Agree, Mazza. Agree. And hopefully this offseason, whatever happens after this playoff stretch run that we go on, hopefully reality hits hard, for a lot of players. Aaron Hicks, Josh Donaldson, Gleyber Torres. Hopefully after this postseason run and this offseason, reality hits and the Yankees make some moves that they have to make. I just want to make this quick special announcement just so everybody know. September 6th, we will be having on from an MLB Network. We'll be having on Scott Braun to talk so far baseball, to break down this Yankee season so far. But that will be September 6th at 11 a.m. in the morning. So, guys, please make sure that you tune in. If you guys are watching this on the playback, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Chris, I appreciate you for coming on. Like
Thanks
I
for
said,
having
we
me,
can
man.
talk on Twitter. Anytime you and your partner want to come on, you guys got an open spot on the panel, right?
Cool.
No hesitation. Don't even have to ask. You always got a spot in the panel. Mikey Mazza will be going live this Friday and this Saturday. Hopefully, we could get Jiggerman Porter on it on his channel. Everything's looking
Coming on Friday.
On Friday, cool. Hopefully, we get you on that channel as well. But fellas, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Chris, my guy, salute. Thank you so much. Mikey Mazza as well. Salute, brother. Thank you so much. Like Jiggerman Porto said, Mr. MLB Network himself, Scotty Braun, will be on September 6th, 2 days before my birthday. So it's an early birthday present for yourself, Hector. But guys, like I said, appreciate everybody for coming on. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Today's episode has probably been the best or my most funnest thing that I've ever done in this world as a content creator. Having on Jerry Ferrara, like I told him during the interview, his character and entourage, I felt very seen, as I looked at that as being me, in my high school friend group, if that makes sense to everybody. But yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully the Yankees could turn it up tonight. Guys, from the Yankees Morning Brew to everybody out there in the universe, peace. Appreciate y'all.
Right center. There it